Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of LostinTranslationmon. This time we're covering Digimon Ghost Game episode 44, Rust. I'm May, and I'm joined by Quinn.
Hi.
And also Chloe.
Hello.
They're still lovely, by the way. I just didn't say it this time, don't know why, but they are still lovely, and I really want everyone to know that.
I appreciate you acknowledging it.
Mm-hmm. Because I realised, halfway through, I forgot to say lovely, but lovely should be implied by this point.
I said, you're welcome to give us different compliments if you like.
Bit of housekeeping before we get in. So, Masashi Sogo, who is the lead scriptwriter for Ghost Game, wrote in his blog about how the series is reaching its climax soon.
What?
How?
I don't know, but it is. So that, or apparently, at some point. So I would assume probably around the end of the year, on the basis that the next Vital Bracelet, which is the Vital Bracelet BE, has Jellymon, Gammamon, and Angoramon BEMs coming out. So I would assume that they would have the Megas on there, which weren't on the DIMs. So I'm guessing that it'll probably align somewhat with that release, or so around the end of the year maybe, is what I'm just guessing.
Are they really called BMs?
Yes, so it's called the BE.
That's terrible.
So
wow, that's literally just who market. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think a lot of companies are very good at naming things. No company's good at naming conventions. But in any case,
could not call your product poo.
Yep.
They could try.
They could try, but truth
They
in
will.
advertising law.
Anyway, just that bit of housekeeping about how Ghost Game is apparently ending soon, or at least it's reaching the climax part of the arc, so that's cool. And before we get into the discussion, we'll just go over a quick synopsis of this week's episode. So, a classmate of heroes is able to ask reward elves to order rare and limited items for people. However, whenever it does, rust appears, and the building of the person who makes the order takes some structural damage in addition to this rust that appears. So it turns out that this is because of a group of Antylamon who are able to convert materials into these ordered items. The website, it turns out, is run by Jellymon, because of course it is, and I just want to mention that these Antylamon are small. So they are Antylamon, because they're small, like ants. I had to do that. I thought of it and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever thought of.
That joke is bad and you should feel bad.
Look, to be fair, when I was a kid and I first saw Antylamon, I was like, what? But it's not an ant, it's a rabbit. I was really confused by the name and I couldn't get past it. I mean, I was able to understand that an orange dinosaur could be called Greymon, but apparently not that a rabbit could be called Antylamon. But in any case, back to the synopsis. The group fight the three Antylamon who grow to normal size, so they're not Antylamon anymore. And the evolution time reverts Lamortmon and Canoweismon to adult, but Jellymon is able to find the laptop that was used to make the orders and cancels these orders, which somehow calms down the Antylamon because they were only fighting because they were trying to cancel the orders without going through the proper method or something. So I don't know how do I feel about that, but in any case, Jellymon is actually apologetic and accepts the blame, but their blame is immediately shifted on to Hiro's father, who apparently told the Antylamon to go to the human world to help out people by fixing things and ordering things that they like. I don't know why they had to shift the blame. Jellymon was being actually pretty good, saying that it's all her fault and she got yelled at and it was great, but no, it's Hiro's dad's fault. And yeah. And the group of Antylamon are told to still help people, but to use materials from the junkyard. And that's the episode for this week. So now that we've gone over our housekeeping and our synopsis, let's move on to the discussion of the episode. So what were our highlights this week?
I don't have many.
Yeah, my highlights included the Art is Boom shirt.
Yep, which is just, someone played TKO from Jackbox and ordered the shirt, because instantly it reminded me of the one that a friend of mine made, which was just a weird-looking face and the words, "Are you high, comma, right now?"
Wow.
And it was amazing.
That's one hell of a shirt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, because I'm legally obligated to, everyone playing the Chloe Ava drinking game must now drink, because they did do a little Ava with the regeneration bubbles. It was very...
That was
Oh, you're
the
right.
coolest
I
moment of
didn't
the
even-
episode, admittedly.
Yeah, I mean, the animation in this episode was just really good, though.
Yeah. So, it had the little Ava, so I can't say that it had, like, no redeeming qualities.
Ava is your highlight, the fact that it reminded you of Evangelion.
I mean, there wasn't much
There
to
wasn't all
highlight
that much else
this week. Yeah, our only other highlight was that we almost did a capitalism and greed are the real evil, except we then immediately walked that back through another one of Kiyoshiro's convenient business things.
Or just like, I mean, it was Jellymon's business, not really Kyoshiro.
Well, but
Kyoshiro-
but, like,
Kyoshiro
he-
had a recycling business or something.
Yeah, he was doing the system for the recycling business or whatever. Yeah. And so, instead of, addressing the... Yeah, I'll save it for the lowlights.
Yep. So what
I
were
mean,
your
I just-
highlights?
I just really liked the fact that Jellymon actually got called out. Like, it wasn't
Okay.
just like, oh,
Yeah.
Jellymon, you so random, you
There
so
wasn't-
shifty.
Yeah, so, but here's my hang up with that is, did she get called out? She kind of apologized of her own volition, which
No,
is better than nothing.
Kyoshiro,
but-
Kyoshiro picked her up and was shouting at her face. Like, that's
That's
definitely
fair.
being called out.
Didn't she
Like,
apologize
it was-
before that, or am I misremembering?
No.
No,
You were
she just was kind of existing, and she did feel bad during the actual battle. Like, she tried to rectify it, but after the battle, when Kyoshiro showed up, he picked up Jellymon and was just like, "This is all your fault.
Yeah.
You are." I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but she's like, "You are trash. Why are you doing this? Why are you like this?" And was like holding her and like yelling at her because she
Yeah.
caused issues again. And then it looked like that Jellymon was getting like really emotional about it, and then there was
Just
a really
kinda said
nice like shot
sorry.
of her. Yeah, she did, and she says sorry, and she actually looks really upset and like hurt by the fact that she is in the wrong here. And then immediately the Antylamon then say, "Oh, we met this guy in the digital world who was really thankful that we helped him and said that we should help
Okay.
people in the human world."
I just had my
But-
chronology wrong then.
Yeah, but Jellymon definitely was called out, and she definitely apologized after being called out. Like, I felt like that was good. It wasn't just the other times that Jellymon has caused the Mon of the Week because of her business. Like the Skull Greymon episode, it was just kind of, everyone was kind of saying, "Jellymon, that wasn't exactly cool," and Jellymon was just like, "Whatever, I do what I like," and just floats away. This episode felt like the characters are actually starting to get slightly sick of Jellymon. Which
I guess, but I also feel
I'm
like,
glad.
especially if we're moving into the climax, that this might be the most character growth Jellymon ever gets.
I mean, I hope we get more, or at least I hope this is the start, but I'm glad it's at least happening. I'm glad that we're not just having her be kind of evil, I guess, or at least causing some of the issues in various episodes. Like, this is at least the third, maybe fourth time that she's inadvertently caused the issue.
Certainly not the first, yeah.
Yeah, well, we had the Skull Greymon episode, and then we had her introduction, which she kind of changed some code in Kiyoshiro's, like, talisman, so it's definitely at least the third.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
you're not
glad
wrong.
that she
It
got
was nice
called
to
out this
see
time.
her. Yeah, it was nice to see us finally calling out Jellymon.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is something that we were commenting on previous episodes that
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have just been even 2 weeks ago. We were like, is anybody actually going to call out Jellymon in being just kind of rubbish? And yes, we actually got that. So I feel like this is something that we actually wanted.
Yeah.
And I'm
She had to
thankful
push
for it. Like,
it
we actually got
way too far, but yeah, Kyoshiro established a boundary.
Yeah, which is good. Like, he's not just being a doormat to somebody who not necessarily is terribly abusive, but definitely isn't nice and definitely does do bad things often for business and for profit. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just glad, and that was basically the saving grace for the episode. The fact that we didn't just shrug Jellymon off and like, oh well, Jellymon will be Jellymon.
You
But
stay
no, we
crazy,
actually called it
girl.
out.
Anyway.
Yeah, you stay crazy. You slay, Queen. No, we actually said, hey, what you're doing isn't cool. And I don't know. That's basically my only highlight, other than the animation, which is pretty strong. But the
That's fair.
animation in this series is pretty good, like so far. But this was animated pretty well. But yeah, that's my main highlight about Jellymon actually getting told off for once. Like I just appreciate that.
Yeah, that's valid. And admittedly, that probably should have made the highlights, because that is admittedly a good thing that did happen, even if I have
Yeah.
some reservations about it.
Yeah, especially because we like fairly recently have said, "Hey, we want this," and the show then gave it to us.
They did finally address it. Not perfectly, but they did. So points for that.
Yeah. Any other highlights? Are we ready to go on to lowlights?
I'm ready to go to lowlights.
Yep.
Okie dokie. What were your lowlights?
So the first one chronologically was just, as soon as the episode started, we both said, oh, great, the creep friend is back, and we're not going to call him out for being a bad person again. And while admittedly he didn't really have many opportunities to be creepy this episode, he was pretty, materialistic and greedy, and no, we didn't tell anyone that that's a bad thing. Everyone just, ended the episode as greedy as ever, but
I feel
have
like
cheap labor to make everything your greedy little heart could want.
I feel like it still was said it's still not good to be greedy. Like, Hero almost called out the guy who was doing the orders online.
Yeah, but I mean, other than we took their stuff away, but it's okay because they can just get it back by putting in more orders now.
Yeah, and they were all, complaining to What's-His-Bucket, being like, hey, where's my stuff? And it's like, this thing that you got mysteriously
for free
that you shouldn't have gotten in the first place. You're gonna harass the dude because it's gone now? Everyone is just so awful.
I felt bad for that guy because he said, but if I don't fulfill these orders, nobody will want to be my friend anymore.
Yeah, and at no point did anyone tell him he was wrong.
Yep.
That, but I feel sorry for him. That's
he
lonely.
says that, and everyone else in the conversation agrees to just move on without commenting. It's kind of screwed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I were there any good people in this episode?
I mean, based off of our favorite characters, no.
Yeah, Ruri was fine.
I like how Kiyoshiro, called out Jellymon.
I suppose.
To the extent he was in the
cool.
episode, sure.
Yeah, that was basically the only part of the episode he was there for.
Yeah, which is good. That's a pretty big standout. Even though he only showed up once, it stood out to me.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Also, the orders can only be canceled from the client's computer thing was pretty contrived.
And also is
fair,
in no way a secure ID system.
No, I've actually, depending on where you order from, sometimes if you want to cancel something, you can't just go to support or, go to the shop and say cancel. I know for some cases, if I make an order through EB Games, if I make, an order in to pick up in store, I can only cancel from the store. And if I make an order online, I can only cancel online. But I can't go to the store and cancel an online, a delivery order, and I can't go online to cancel a pickup order. So that does kind of track a little bit. Oh, it's silly, but...
There is no reason for the person you're literally talking to who is going to do magic that will destroy the building you're in, who acknowledges this is a problem and is otherwise quite reasonable. Nah, I am going to destroy you for getting in the way of my contract thingy, I guess.
I mean, it's...
Anyway, later fam,
Digimon.
we just want to help people.
And so
it's a TV show.
The whole secure ID thing might have just been a weird translation thing, but, for my job, I work on software that does that, and that is not even remotely what they actually did.
I think someone on the team looked up something about a smart contract, and then they made them take all the crypto out of the episode, which is good.
Yeah. Or maybe they just, that they either didn't want to talk about crypto again, or they just didn't want to, make things more complicated, especially in a kids show.
And that, I think, brings me to the really big one, which is just... screw consequences and entropy. Nothing about this episode mattered, lol.
That is absolutely my main lowlight about how everything goes back to normal. The building should still be destroyed.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It makes no sense that they aren't destroyed.
It should not be possible, realistically, to just, undo all the things. There's no energy cost for this, by the way.
No, the energy cost is taken from magical girls, Quinn, when they turn into witches.
I know that, Antylamon did destroy all the limited items that they got to revert the damage, so I guess that kind of makes sense, but things should still not be completely 100% the same.
Yeah, there should not be a net zero energy cost for that.
Yeah.
And just... even ignoring that aspect of it, just the, by the way, being incredibly greedy and asking for literally something for nothing has no consequences for anyone, except Guy, who I guess gets people saying some mean things for a minute. Hooray, capitalism! Yeah. Go back to using the elf website, because now they're recycling.
Yeah, this episode just largely struck me as like, why
Why?
does this episode? Yeah, why is this episode? It applies in many different ways, but I guess mainly just like, yeah, there were no consequences. There were no stakes. Really, nothing really.
All they did was be
happened.
bad.
I mean, the only good thing this episode was that it felt like something actually happened between Jellymon and Kiyoshiro, or Jellymon and the rest of the cast. Like, that feels like why the episode existed for me. Like, Jellymon, even though they shifted onto the dad.
Should have been, but yeah, I didn't care about seeing Dad at all, and would have liked to get like 2 more minutes of interaction with Kiyoshiro actually on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that part was a bit random. I mean, it gave the Antylamon purpose for being in the human world, so it's not... But to be fair, a lot of episodes haven't given us that about the Dance of the Week.
They wrote an entire episode around what amounted to like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
so
just,
I'm kind of... I mean,
Dad felt out of place in this episode. It was like, why is he here? As
I mean,
always, anytime
honestly...
I see Espimon, I'm like, why is he here?
Yeah, and why Iron? Why does using magical prayer dances to make
it's in
stuff?
buildings. No, but
Yeah,
my thing
Iron,
is that,
like that famously spiritual element.
I mean, there had to be something. It had to be to some sort of degree of stakes. Like, buildings are all made out of it, so they wanted to have something.
Okay, but apparently in the digital world, you can just make it from spiritual energy. At very least, Dad didn't mention anything about consequences, and I think we're supposed to assume
maybe he didn't
know. But,
yeah.
Okay, so there are no consequences for making something from nothing in the digital world, but that changes in the real world by oxidizing iron for reasons?
Yep.
Yeah. Though, like, I mean, I don't mind the dad tie-in too much, because I'm glad that they actually gave the Digimon a reason for being in the human world for once.
Fine, I just think there's a lot of places they could have made cuts and done something much better with Jellymon.
My main issue with the last, like, big chunk of Ghost Game episodes is that end of episode analyzer part, that could have been scrapped for more Kiyoshiro and Jellymon, like, interacting and more Jellymon showing remorse, because we only got about, like, less than 5 seconds of her being remorseful. We got, like, remorseful, rather. We got maybe, like, 10 seconds of her being yelled at, and then 5 seconds of her, like, basically collapsing to the ground saying, it's all my fault, I'm, actually looking sad. Like, she didn't look smug, she looked sad, and we only got like a very small amount of time for that, because we jumped to explaining about how the dad fits into this, which I don't mind that too much, because we've got to tie in the dad somehow. We've got to explain how these Digimon are going to the human world. That gave them like a reason. It showed them that they were actually helpful, they weren't completely evil, so that's why they got given like a task. So like, you can still help people, just use junkyard materials, and they're like, okay, we'll do that. So I don't mind that, but the end of the episode having that analyzer part, I feel like that could have been cut to give us more moments between Jellymon and Kiyoshiro, or Jellymon and the rest of the cast, getting through that remorse that she was clearly feeling. I feel like that's where they should have scrapped it, not so much the dad tie-in, because that actually ties into the
we could
plot
have done
of the
so
series.
much less on the tracking down the best chocolate scene, or
that was
any
fine,
part of
they
the
needed
investigation. But like, there are places they could have trimmed.
But that was the
more.
investigation was the chocolate. That's how Hero got to witness the reward elves being Antylamon. Like, I don't mind that, but I just don't like the encyclopedia part. I feel like
The encyclopedia was also pretty bad.
Yeah, ever since I started paying attention to how formulaic it is, I'm just like, oh my god, get this out of here, please.
Why is Ruri obsessed with scaring Kiyoshiro only during the analyzer?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not a thing she does.
Yep.
It's just a segment every week where we bully Kiyoshiro, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and we spent probably about as much time listening to Kiyoshiro yell during the analyzer as we did listening to Jellymon apologize during the episode.
Which is really sad, because that was my highlight. That was the one saving grace of this episode. And, like, it was barely even like, it wasn't even a minute. It was like maybe 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, I wish we got more of it.
Yeah. And then I guess my last one, and I've touched on it, I just really don't think you can have Antylamon both be your nice, reasonable friend who you can ask to help with anything, and they'll just do it because they're here to help, and also be like, no, I will beat you to death for not using the cancel button.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we have any other lowlights?
No, I think that pretty much covers my last one.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't think we have anything else written, at least. We've kind of touched on everything here.
Okay, favorite character? Who is your favorite character, Quinn?
Kaiju Slayer, the Mizukame Kron.
Oh yeah,
Or-
that's like they had another one of those pause screen for references sort of moment. That was kind
Alternatively,
of funny.
on that list, Green Tooth headphones. Pretty good, but
Yeah.
I think I'm
Green
going with the
Green
Mizukame
Tooth.
Chronicles.
Yeah.
Green Tooth
I-
headphones did make me laugh.
Yeah.
Chloe, who's your favorite?
I'm also picking an item off of the list of gifts. It's the Play Switch VR3, because this episode kind of sucked.
I
Like, it
was
wasn't-
honestly expecting like an Evangelion reference there, to be honest. But like, it would have been cool if one of the items on the list was an Evangelion reference.
It didn't even have enough Ava. There was a Gundam reference, but
I haven't watched Gundam, so...
My favorite character, I wrote down Jellymon, but I think I'm gonna have to actually give it to Kiyoshiro.
fair enough.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like,
Oh,
just because
actually,
he
one
did
thing-
call
well,
it out.
no,
Yep.
Never mind. I was
Nope,
well.
no, go
So
ahead.
one thing I was going to put as a potential highlight, although now I'm more thinking it might be along a miscellaneous thought line, is had we ever actually established that there was a time limit for super? Is that right? Super evolutions. Aside from
They just kind of end when the plot says so.
aside from
no,
Ken and
it's
Weissman,
never
his
been-
has run out before, but like
Yeah,
this
it's
time
never been
Lamormon's ran
really-
out too. Has that happened
Yeah.
for anyone else before?
No, it's just been Hero. So that is a good point that
Okay.
it is now confirmed that it's not just Canon Weissmon, which kind of makes sense. Like, why would it be just Canon Weissmon? It would make sense that it's everyone's perfect, but then
Well,
again,
'cause
we've
he's
only
hero
seen the other
protagonist.
perfects. Like, we've only seen them like 2 or 3 times. We've seen Canon Weissmon multiple times. I think we've seen Canon Weissmon's time limit go out more than we've seen the other perfects.
I believe you're
I
correct.
think you're right.
Which kind of bumps me out. Like,
Yeah, so
like, we
when
had
they
a-
both ran down their timers, I was like, okay, are we gonna get Gulus? Is Jellymon gonna have to do something? Are we gonna get an evolution with, a different partner? That'd be neat.
but
Nah.
Jellymon did do something. Like, she actually
She
felt
clicked
guilty
the
and then
cancel
grabbed the laptop.
button a bunch, but I mean, like,
Yeah, but
I
she
thought she
felt
was going to
guilty.
be involved in the fight. Is
Well,
what
she
I
was.
thought.
She saved the day, which is better than a Canon Weissmon saving the day. And she actually,
That's fair.
during that time, looked remorseful.
Yeah.
Which,
no,
again,
I'm not
that's pretty
saying I
great.
disliked what they did. I just, when they had both of them run out and everybody was about
Yeah.
to die, I didn't think the ending was really gonna be, and then she gets to the end of the list, I guess.
Yeah. So, what were our ratings? Chloe, what did you give this episode out of 5?
I gave it a 2. It was
Yep, that's
not
fair.
terrible. It's not the worst episode we've had, but it's not far from it. There were episodes that were more like offensively bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gave it a 2 out of 5.
That's fair. And Quinn?
A 1.
That is
Not-
also fair.
Not the worst
so-
episode, but pretty bad.
It definitely tried.
Yeah.
Yep, gold
Like,
star.
it gave it a
tried.
go. It definitely gave a go. So I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It would have been lower, but I really did appreciate the fact that we have Jellymon being called out. Like, that was pretty good. Like, I was a big fan of that. So
Yeah,
without
It's been needed
ratings,
for quite a while.
Oh yeah, it's something that has been needed, and I honestly didn't expect for the show to do, because I thought they were just going to continually just have, oh, Jellymon, you so shifty. But they didn't. They actually said that, hey, this is a bad thing, this is your fault. And I'm glad. Even though the buildings were all repaired to 100% anyway, but I'm glad that there was still something there. So in any case, with all our rankings added up, that means this episode gets a 5.5, which is tied for last place along with The Diviner, which I cannot remember. What was The Diviner, episode 38?
We
I
looked it
cannot
up.
even
That
remember.
was the one where Hiro got possessed by ancient spirit of Shogun, and we had to misgender Airdramon a bunch.
Oh yeah, and I only liked that episode because of Airdramon, that's right.
Yep.
So...
Oh, and we needed to let the creepy friend go to an all-girls school for a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I gave that episode a 4. I must really like Airdramon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember even saying that the next time we met up. I was like, "Air."
We
what?"
judged you pretty hard for that.
Yeah, that is... Why'd I give it a 4? I don't know. Anyway,
You were very excited by seeing Airdramon and then tuned out the rest of the episode.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah. So, anyway, so do we like that episode this episode more or less than The Diviner?
So I say I like this one a little bit more because the Diviner was like offensively bad. This one was just
Poorly written.
forgettable, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I think it
are
was
we-
a little better than the Diviner.
Yeah.
We're gonna say better?
Yeah.
I would
I
actually.
will
I
at
would. I
least.
would agree. I would also say that it's better. Even though I gave that episode a 4 and this one a 2.5. I just really like Edgemon. Okay, y'all. Like, can you blame me? I've got a favorite. Like, I'm just happy to see Edgemon, and he continued to come back, so that's cool. Anyway, so that means that it is in second last place, so that is 43rd in the listing because that's how numbers work. And in terms of our individual ranking, I put it in 39th place. So that puts it between, apparently lost and forgotten how to use computers, between episode 41 Clown and episode 34 Wall Crawlers. So where did y'all put the episode in the rankings? So Chloe, where are we putting this episode?
It's going third to last for me. So in spot 42, under the Cursed Song, but above the Diviner.
That is fair. And Quinn?
Second to last between Icy Hell and the Diviner.
Okie dokie, so it's at the bottom of basically, or nearish to the bottom.
You like this worse than Icy Hell?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
Went back and forth, but ended up deciding, yeah.
Alright.
And yeah, so that's the ranking. So do we have any miscellaneous thoughts? Anything we forgot to mention, or any other thoughts that we have lying around about this week's episode?
This episode was silly, and I'm sorry that I stayed up for it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't like, as y'all mentioned, it wasn't like offensively bad or anything. It just could have been better.
Yeah, I just, still kind of wish I had my 20 minutes back.
23 or... Now that we're done discussing this episode, let's move on to pondering predictions and Postmon Pat. So first of all, over to YouTube comments for Postmon Pat. We have Suckerbot, who says that hold up, Jellymon is not horrible in this episode. Jellymon is the star of Ghost Game. She doesn't bully him. He will never get a backbone, lol. I'm going to file that under poorly aged comments.
Yep.
Like, sorry, we just ripped on Jellymon this episode, but so did the show. Finally, which is good. So, I'm glad that people do like Jellymon. I do actually like Jellymon. That's probably why I liked that she was actually called out.
I wanted to like Jellymon, but over time I have definitely gotten to the point where I'm just, no.
I can feel a redemption for it. Like, I feel like we're going to do something with that.
If I thought that characters were allowed to develop, sure.
I'm still hopeful for it. Next, we have Lazy Crocono, who says that episode 43 was one of their favourites. They really love the victim being the protagonist of the episode, and Emma is a fun character, and they hope that Emma makes more appearances, mainly because she can be a support character for Kiyoshiro, who doesn't have any hero and has horrible friends, and really has her friends, but Kyo just has the one. Also, they really dig her design, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Aizmon was a
was
cool
great.
villain.
Yep.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, can we talk about how great the last episode was? Because,
Yeah, I liked last week's episode. It was also really like the eyes. Oh yeah, because we didn't record together, but those eyes just like made me like cringe. Like there was a visceral reaction to that. That was gross.
So good.
Yeah.
Where did that end
Yeah,
up in our
like-
overall, out of curiosity?
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Let's find it. So that was. I might have to control F this because there is a lot of. Let's see. Episode 43 in our overall was in 14th place. So between
14th?
episode 33, yeah,
That surprises me.
So I gave it a 4. Chloe gave it a 5. Quinn gave it a 4.5. So it was a 13.5. So that put it in 14th
yeah.
place. So yeah, between episode 33, Whispers of the
Okay,
Dead, which
fair enough.
again, I'm starting to forget what episodes. I will have to look at my what. Oh, that was the Kiyoshiro Dies episode. Okay, so it was apparently worse than the Kiyoshiro Dies
that one was
episode.
pretty good.
But it was better than episode 26, Cannibal Mansion, which was the Digimon Eats People episode. So I feel like it's in good company.
Yeah.
Like those are some good
I
episodes.
just really liked it. I was expecting it to be like in the top 5, but
What-
we all
to be
had
fair,
different
they've-
opinions on it, so that's the great thing about a podcast.
Yeah, but we all seemed to really enjoy last week's episode. Like, I really enjoyed it. I felt like that was really creepy.
I kinda wish we'd just watched last week's episode again.
again, just like, okay, was it as good as the second time round? That's like the sub podcast where we're just like, let's watch the episode we just watched again to see what we think. It's like how I have to rewatch a bunch of episodes that I think I just gave high marks to for no reason, like the fighting game one apparently. So next, so anyway, continuing on, they say that Icemon was a cool villain. Yep, totally agree. They love its design, and when they saw it on Twitter, they were really excited to see it. Next episode doesn't seem as cool, but it can't be worse than Icy Hell.
Well, according
it was
to Quinn,
apparently
it was.
Yeah, so apparently, not for all of us though. What did I?
Yeah, Chloe put it
Icy
just
Hell,
above.
Yeah, no, I put it 2 above.
Oh, okay.
I put it like below Icy Hell, because Icy Hell is in 28th place somehow for me.
Yeah.
I think it's because Icy Hell wasn't that like, I liked bits of it, but it was sort of just forgettable. Like the only thing I remember about the episode was that Ruli can control Jellymon and call her attacks, and that's all I can remember.
I don't want to turn, so therefore I will murder these children.
Oh yeah, the lazy ice machine, like that episode, right? So I guess it was kind of worse than that, so sorry, Lazy Croconaw. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, but yeah, I'd be interested to see if they think that it's worse than Icy Hell or not. Next we've got Mrex666, who says that anyone ever mentioned just like how Ruli's episodes all have demonic Digimon, Kyoshiro's episode have dragon Digimon as enemies. Majiramon, Tropimon, and Eyesmon. Was Eyesmon a dragon? I just thought he was like a big shadow full of eyes.
It was vaguely shaped like a dragon.
I guess I didn't make that connection, but that's actually kind of interesting. But yeah, all of the Ruli ones have been kind of like demonic, dare I say it, Bishonen men.
Yeah.
She gets the hot demons.
She does.
So yeah, I didn't make that connection, but that is interesting. And yeah, I guess the dragon-ish or dragon-leaning Digimon are in the Kyosho episodes. I wonder if that means that we'll get like a dragon Jellymon. That'd be cool. Next we've got Geozaga, who says they loved the episode, and it was the first time they were completely scared. They felt fear from episodes before, but this one was actually actively scaring them. They would give the episode a 5 out of 5. Jellymon was great, the guest character was great, and they hope to see Emma again. Horror aspect was really effective, and it makes them curious if this season ever gets dubbed, how they would do it, since this isn't the only episode with such intensity. And I feel like they would just I hope they wouldn't try to dumb it down or anything. They would just leave it as is. But it depends on who would dub it. Like, back in the old days, like, Saban would kind of dumb down a lot of the spooky aspects. Like, they would go from, I'm gonna kill Pumpmon and Gotsumon, to, I'm going to send them away to my prison in the digital world.
To the Shadow Realm.
Yeah. So I hope that it would get like a modern dub rather than just like the 90s and early 2000s of just like, oh, kids are little babies. We can't give them anything that's too scary or serious. But then again, this episode was creepy. Like, episode 43 was creepy, and then the Agitaramon episode was still like different levels of creepy, but the whole fact that she just like was pulling out her insides, that's just really stuck with me as something that happens like in a disturbing way. Like, it was just kind of, and the picking of the eyes, they're just disturbing things. So that would be interesting to see how they would dub those, but I hope they wouldn't cut too much. And next they said they don't get what we mean about Jellymon being bad and that episode. The level of teasing this episode never went far even bad, and it wasn't even outside the usual for her. They like the explanation of Icemon's motives being that he was basically hitchhiking someone's drive to seek out secrets and amplify them to an unhealthy degree to feed himself. And yeah, I guess Jellymon's just been kind of like working up to being kind of bad, and I guess maybe that's what this week's episode was kind of focusing on, that she has just been working herself up and being kind of bad whenever she appears. But anyway, next we have Victor, who says that they really like how Icemon... Yep, sorry?
She deliberately told information to Kiyoshiro's friends that he very clearly did not want told. That goes beyond teasing and is violating boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, another point that like we didn't get to talk about because we didn't do the podcast like at the same time. But am I the only one who's really grossed out when shows try to ship the human and the Digimon?
No, that grosses me out too.
Because like it was probably my least favorite thing in Atmon as well, when we had Eri and Dokomon kind of having like a like, I don't know, budding romance is the right word, but it felt kind of like a little bit weird because they're kind of like, they're like a soulmate but like also a pet, but not, I don't like that being like romantic at all. Yep. It makes me feel really gross.
Yeah, and if I felt like they were gonna do something and actually meaningfully explore that, maybe, but we're sure not gonna do that in this show, so it just ends up being extremely weird.
If we actually explore it, that makes it so much worse for me.
I suppose that's fair too.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so we have Victor, who likes Antylamon and likes how they were done the episode, but they wish the solution had been Jellymon and not Canonweissmon, especially since it felt like a Kyoshiro episode. Absolutely agree. Then they say that also they're putting the bet that the next mon of the week is Rust Tyrannomon because he has a Rust Breath attack, so it wasn't Rust Tyrannomon, which doesn't surprise me because Rust Tyrannomon is a mega level, and I don't feel like they're I guess we just fought Piedmon, so whatever.
Yeah.
But Rust
Levels don't
Tyrannomon
mean
is
anything.
like Rust Tyrannomon's like a strong mega. Like I feel like that feels like an end game mega, but then again so does Piedmon. So bleh. Anyway, next we have Andrew, who says they definitely maxed up the creep factor for episode 43, and yeah, I totally agree there. Very creepy. Next, we have Narumi, who says the episode was definitely the creepiest of the series. The eyes appearing on people's body looks agonizing, and they would definitely have nightmares about it if they were a child. They liked Kyoshiro getting a focus in the episode, but their main complaint is the fighting. Icemon is an adult level, and having Canonweissmon appearing again just to shine was annoying, because he had already appeared 11 times, and the others have only appeared 3 times each. Very unbalanced.
Yike.
Yeah, that is fair, and that's like kind of a point I was trying to make earlier, is just that we have seen Canonweissmon's time out more than we've seen the others, and yeah, 3 times each. That's kind of sad. And then lastly, we have Droas, who doesn't know why we dislike Canonweissmon, because he had the perfect solution for this week's episode. And it's not the fact that we don't like Canonweissmon, or that the fact that he had the perfect solution is a problem. It's that he seems to always, every week, have the perfect solution for every episode. Like, I just wish that they could have just said it's Thetismon who has the perfect solution. I'm sure they could have written that in somehow. So it's fine that Canonweissmon had a solution. It's not fine that it keeps happening. Like, it's always Canonweissmon.
It's always Canonweissmon, or Kyoshiro has a business that solves a problem that otherwise we'd need to think about even slightly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's it for Postmon Pat this week. What were our thoughts about the series so far?
I knew this episode wouldn't be as good as last week's.
That is fair.
Yeah. It's just been kind of a meandering mess that apparently is leading into the climax of a story that hasn't meaningfully moved since Gulas showed up.
I mean, I still feel like a lot of the episodes are better quality than other seasons of Digimon.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
I'm not
it's got
even
that
saying
at
that. I'm not saying I hate it. I just, like, in terms of if I were to make a list of the important things that have happened this series, there's just not that many.
Yeah, if we're trying to build a list of like things to review before going into the finale, it's
Hero's dad exists and is definitely dead.
Yeah.
Hero's mom allegedly exists and it never matters.
Yeah. No, I see your point. But, like, I'm still happy that we got the Jellymon actually being called out. Like, I'm just happy about that. I felt like that's a good thing that they did. But I hope they do more.
A last low light that I forgot, and it's kind of a nitpick, but why did Hero not hit the Digivice make all the consequences go away button as soon as he realized it was a Digimon, and not way at the end when people were about to die?
Maybe it was just too late at that point.
That's the other thing as soon as he saw the Antylamon in his room, he could have been like, beep.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't use the digital shift or whatever they call it.
Yeah, not until the building started shaking.
Yeah, we waited way after we needed to press the lol consequences stop happening button, so that then we could make the consequences never have happened.
I mean, I guess they really just wanted the characters to get the laptop, which they wouldn't have been able to do, maybe? I don't know.
I guess. Also,
I mean,
that was a bad decision.
They had to undo the field in order to get the laptop back in the end anyway, right?
I think so. In any event, doesn't really matter. I just wanted to bring up that, we didn't have to do the laptop at all.
Yeah, it just seems like asking for trouble to not have a, batch delete.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just go to the database tables and bulk delete everything, Why?
Well,
it was in the contract that apparently
Antylamon doesn't know how to do that, so...
Yeah, but Jellymon might.
So
good
Antylamon didn't
point.
need to be told when the last cancel button was hit.
They just knew.
So Antylamon's getting push notifications to their brain? Is that
I guess
is that what
so.
I'm taking away from this?
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, they are digital, and that's something I like about Ghost Game, and it also kind of fit into last week's episode and a few
Oh no,
episodes
they had a
prior.
Digiphone. Never mind.
But I do like
that's
how,
right. Dang it.
like, I mean, I just appreciate that this series seems to tie in the magic of Digimon with them being digital and connected to the internet. So I do appreciate that, and we had
it
that
is
last
weird
week.
how it took 20 years for someone to think of that.
Yeah, and I really
they
liked
didn't
it.
do that before?
Not until
No,
Atmon, really.
Oh, God.
Like this
What?
season actually like counts that Digimon would be connected to everything digital or would be connected to the internet in some way. But I guess to be fair, like the internet was definitely around in the first series, but it wasn't like
Why did y'all watch this so long?
because the internet in the 90s was very different, and we didn't have the internet with us at all times. We had to like be plugged into the phone in our house. Like it was very like I guess primitive internet is what we had. So it kind of makes sense that they didn't tie it in that much. They did say the digital world was mapped from networks in the human world, but that's as
Yeah,
far as
they-
they ever did in terms of the connection there.
Yeah.
Alright.
They were just like, yeah, some of the weird stuff that shows up in the digital world happens when they delete stuff from the internet.
But I'm glad that they are
Sure.
finally getting to it, like in this series. That like,
Yeah.
oh yes, if these Digimon would be connected to the internet in some way, and I'm glad that they're actually doing something like that with Ghost Game. So I appreciate that.
Takato passes Jellymon off as a cosplayer. 2022, we're passing Gamamon off as a hologram.
I do
even
kind
when
of
you
like
can
that.
touch him.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But anyway, so I mean, it was Tamers was 2002 when it came out. Was it 2002 or 2001 when it went? Yeah, I think so. Because
All right, if you
Series
say so.
5, Series 5, I think was 2006, and that was Digimon Data Squad or Digimon Savers. So and Frontier, I think might have been 2003. I think 2004 maybe. No, it would have been 2003 because I had my detector in 2003. But anyway, or maybe I had my
2001.
detector.
Wild.
Yeah. So anyway, so predictions for the next week's episode, because apparently it's Death Note. We're doing episode 45, Ghost Newspaper. When your name appears in the newspaper, something happens to you. It's just Death Note, but it's a newspaper, right?
It kind of had those vibes. Yeah, I was a little unclear as to what exactly the order of things was. So it was like, is it going to be the newspaper foretells your tragedy, or it just...
I think
Are
it's
we
that.
gonna spend 10 minutes while they find a newspaper?
Yes, because it's
Probably.
it's 2002X, so we don't know like 22X or whatever the year is, but we don't know what's gonna like. How hard is it to get a newspaper in whatever year this is set?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know the last time I actually saw a newspaper. But anyway, so that's next week's episode. We're doing Death Note.
Yeah. It seems like it could be interesting. I saw that it looks like Creepy Friends are going to be in it again, so I'm already a little like, but
Yeah.
I think that's
Fingers
just the
crossed it's
character
good.
that when we need to have a character have something terrible happen to him, and we don't want to use one of the main characters, it's just him.
But it's never terrible enough.
Well, maybe this time it will be.
Fingers crossed.
He'll probably just get to creep on some women and not have anyone say anything.
Alright everyone, so thanks for listening in and joining us for this week. You can join us next time for episode 45, Ghost Newspaper. And if you want to check out other ways to contact us, you can do so. And that'll all be linked in the description along with the link dump. So you can leave us a comment on this episode on YouTube to join the conversation. For a full list of ways to find the podcast across the internet, such as YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, head over to my link tree, which is linktr.ee/LostinTranslationmon. If you enjoyed this podcast or videos or even my silly little tweets, you can show your support by signing up on Patreon and getting some cool rewards and help us hit some milestones. And thank you to our current supporters on Patreon, Stephen Reeves, who is 164 on Archive of Our Own, Kadawashi, Chisai, who can follow on Twitter at Chisai236, Neobu, who says you should follow Chisai on Twitter at Chisai236, Lismet, who is Electmon on Tumblr, Nicholas, Emery from Gone Will Hunting, a Hunt Hunter Rewatch podcast, Magnus, Lucas, Jason105, Patrick, Jason, Shelby, Digital Hazard, who is on Twitch at The Digital Hazard, Dedicated Gazi, Alemus, Tropimon, and Vmon Tamer. You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Edgemon, but you can also donate to me on my Coffee account, ko-fi.com/Airdra. And that's it for another week, so thank you so much to Quinn and Chloe for joining me.
You're very welcome.
Yes, it was fun. I'm getting sleepy, though.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. I think we'll all have a nap after this, because or I guess in your case, just go to just straight up go to bed. But I'm definitely feeling a nap. So, listener, thank you for also joining us in this discussion of episode 44. And hey, you can take a nap too. You've deserved it. Unless you're literally driving right now. In that case, please do not take a nap. Please. It's really important if you or if you're like, I don't know, walking down the street, don't just like curl up in the grass and take a nap, even though that sounds really pleasant. So,
or do. Just, don't sue us if you do.
Yeah, take a nap in a relatively safe and comfortable place. Yes, at your discretion, take a nap.
Picnic and a blanket and go out and have yourself a nice nap.
And don't think of Skullgreymon when you do.
Or do. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, I'm not your dad, or am I? I don't think I am. But in any case, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.